So a quick introduction for those of you that don't know me. My name's David. I'm sales manager here at Cloudmore, and I've been with the business for the past 9 years. I've worked with the CSP program since it was launched, what was that, about 5 years ago? And I get called the CSP expert within Cloudmore as I've been around for so long and worked closely with a large number of direct CSPs across the world. It's important for you to understand that Cloudmore is not just a solution for Microsoft services. It can support all different types of services from different vendors that are sold on a recurring or on a usage basis. Some examples of services that can be managed in Cloudmore, but the same values can be generated for each service by using them via our solution. Cloudmore can help protect your business against margin erosion by streamlining how you process business and reduce internal costs. And it can help manage rising client expectations by delivering 24/7 customer self-service. And it can make your business more scalable, enabling you to add new vendors and technologies to your portfolio. Cloudmore aren't new to this market. We've been around since 2002, and our platform's been around since 2007. And the founder's vision for the business has always been around simplifying the buying and selling of IT. We work with customers all over the globe and are very proud of our high retention rate, and that most of our customers are happy to act as references when required. Let's get into the detail of today's webinar and start with a little bit of background on the modern commerce experience, or Azure Plan, as it's often referred to. There are 4 services that come under modern commerce. There's Azure Consumption, there's the Marketplace services, which are the third-party services that are now sold via CSP. There's Microsoft subscriptions, such as SQL and Windows Server CALs. And of course, there's reserved instances where you buy or you pre-buy and commit to a certain amount of resources for a fixed price. The first difference between the sort of traditional or the CSP products that were launched back 5 years ago is around the billing cycle. For O365 and Classic Azure, there are different billing cycles depending on when you signed up as a direct CSP. But under the modern commerce experience, everybody's billing cycle runs from the first day of the month to the last day of the month. And Microsoft commit to sending out the invoice and the invoice data or reconciliation files by the 8th of every month. The pricing for each of the components that I talked about is where it starts to get a little bit more complicated, because each of these components have a different pricing model. So for the consumption element of modern commerce, Microsoft have a list price, which is based on USD, and you as the partners or resellers, you earn what Microsoft call a partner earned credit, which is about 15%. For marketplace services, Microsoft give us a cost price only, and you need to apply a margin or a percentage on top of that cost price so you can make some money. For Microsoft subscriptions, so this is the SQL and the Windows Server CALs, Microsoft issue a price list that's both got a cost price on it and a list price or suggested sales price. And this acts similar to sort of O365 that you're probably all familiar with. And then for reserved instances, Microsoft have a cost price only, and you apply a percentage on top of that, normally 15%, to get to the sales price. And I'm going to go through this a little bit more detail next when I talk about how you can set and manage pricing and make price adjustments within Cloudmore. So within Cloudmore, we have what we call the Azure Price Management Matrix. And it's within this matrix that you can set up different rules for your pricing. So there's 2 layers that you can set the rules up on. You can set up your global rules, which you can see here under default broker price management, and you can set up different rules for each of your customers. So Azure Classic is the same as what it's always been. You can set up a global rule, which is the cost price plus a margin percentage, which is 15%, as you can see here, or you can set a different percentage for each of your customers. For Azure Plan, you're seeing the broker in this example, it's blank, which means that we're selling at the list price to our customers by default. But underneath, we can see that we've made some adjustments for different customers. So this customer here has got a 6% discount being applied, this customer's got a 2.5% discount, and this customer's got a 5% discount. For reserved instances, we can see here, I mentioned earlier that reserved instances only have a cost price. So what we do within Cloudmore is we apply the 15% margin that we've set here as default on top of that cost price. But as I mentioned previously, we can adjust that then on a per customer basis. So below we can see 9, 12.5 and 10% set at different rates for different customers. Software subscription under broker pricing is blank again, which means that we're selling at the default list price. But again, we could make an adjustment to that list price on a per customer basis. And then finally, marketplace items, where we have the 15% set as the global marker, but we can adjust that on a per customer basis if required. The platform will also allow you to set different rules of when you want a new price to apply. So if you need to change an adjustment for a customer or globally, you can set the date in which you want that change to start applying from, and then it will apply the last change that you've made to the next billing period. Some of the services I mentioned also have a price list available to them. So for reserved instances and for Microsoft software subscriptions, within the price list area of Cloudmore, you will find a price list for both of these services. And within this price list, you can set a fixed fee for a specific product, either on a global basis or on a per customer basis. And the hierarchy will apply depending on where you've set pricing. So if you set a price within the price list, either globally or for a specific customer, that will apply. The platform will then look at the organizational settings, and if you set a price within the organizational part of the matrix, it will apply that price. Else it will default to the default settings at the broker part of the matrix. So now we've set our pricing, we're going to look at some of the billing reports and some of the billing data that Cloudmore is going to automatically generate for you. So here we can see within Cloudmore, we can see all of our CSP billing over the period of time. We can see a simple bar chart that displays our costs for each month, and below we can see a breakdown by each of the invoice or billing periods that Microsoft have issued. So the top one, we can see our total costs, and if we drill into more details under the actions button, we can start to see a breakdown of this billing period. The first thing that we can see is that our total costs for the modern Azure is $271,406.80 US, and that cost will reconcile with the inbound invoice coming in from Microsoft. So that's how you can be 100% assured that all of your costs from Microsoft are being accounted for within Cloudmore. Underneath, we can see a breakdown by customer. So each of these plus signs represents a customer, and we can see the total costs for each customer, the total sale, and the margin that we're making. And then if we drill down a layer, we will then get a breakdown generated for us for each customer for each of the services or components. So here we can see the Azure Plan consumption total, the reserved instances total, and the marketplace total. And if we drill down again, we can get into a little bit more detail about each of those services as well. So we've got multiple layers that's going to show you the detail. All of the data is available to you via the GUI that we've just looked at. You can export it to Excel, and all of the data is available via API to be passed to your ERP system. I'm just going to talk through some of the data that can be exported so you can see the level of detail that Cloudmore gets to. So here we've got one of the pivot table templates that we supply all of our customers that allows you to drop in the data from your export and then view that data in some preset pivot tables. So here we've got the summary, which is just the total per customer, or we've got a breakdown per record type or service type. But then when we go to the next tab, we can see the detail and how it's now broken down for every customer, for every record type, for every product name, for every SKU name, SKU code, etc. So we can see that it gets very granular with the details that it's applying the rules to. And if we go down the next layer, we can get more detail. We can actually see how the data is being generated. So here we can see the percentages that have been used, that have been set within the pricing matrix. We can see if the price was managed in the price list, and we can see the notes that we pull in via the API to say the Microsoft adjustments to make sure that everything is correct. So once we've set our pricing records within Cloudmore in the pricing matrix, and we generate this report, Cloudmore is automatically going to apply the correct prices to each of your customers, to each of the services that they have. The data is going to be available for you to export and import into your ERP system, or you can use the APIs to bring the data in to generate the actual invoice to your customer. When you generate the invoice for your customer, we recommend that you send a summary invoice to your customer where you either use the data to send them a total under the Azure Modern Experience, or you send a total for each of the record types. Because the customer is also going to have the capability within Cloudmore. If I just flick back to my PowerPoint presentation, the customer is also going to have the capability within Cloudmore to view a breakdown of the costs that they've incurred. So within the customer portal here, the customer is able to see each of the billing periods. And again, they can drill in then to each of their billing periods. And underneath that billing period, they're going to be able to see the breakdown by category, but this time they're only seeing the sales price that applies to them. And then underneath each of the categories or the service types, they can see a breakdown with the detail on it. They also have the capability of exporting this data to Excel if they want to do a more detailed manipulation. If anybody wants to contact me after this to arrange either a one-to-one demo, my contact details are back up on screen now. Drop me an email, be delighted to answer questions, or be delighted to jump on a one-to-one demonstration and to go through everything a little bit more slowly and more specifically to perhaps your use case that you have, because I do appreciate that it can vary from CSP to CSP.
Thank you, David. Well, that concludes today's webinar, and thank you to all of our participants for joining us today. As David said, please feel free to get in touch, and we will certainly be reaching out to you to see if we can provide any more information on Azure Plan or on Cloudmore. So thank you again for your time today.
Thanks, everyone.